Chapter 5. Author's note. So, I don't know. I think this will probably be my last one for today, maybe. I'll see how quickly I can get through this. Basically, to be very, very brief, the whole Forte thing and a lot of the melodrama in this I took out because it wasn't relevant. I changed it to be something else. It still has relevance. It's still important, but it doesn't take the spotlight entirely off of the kids, because that was kind of my issue with the scene, and it did kind of come off melodramatic is my thing. I never really liked the way that it let in like the scenes went. I thought everybody kind of looked bad. I didn't really like the way that it came out. So it's scrapped. I'm just telling you this now. And I like what I replaced it with. I like what I did with this. So we'll kind of take that as it comes, and I'll kind of do a little bit more pausing to kind of talk about what's going on when we get to that point. So yeah. As the teams walked through the first room of the base with the wall of mailboxes, Zalmai stopped the group. "Ah, Sandra, Nehia," Zalmai said, flying over to them. She had something in her hands. Arioris nudged Felicia. "Here comes Nihi's girlfriend," he whispered to her, chuckling. Felicia gasped. "You can't just say that." "It's only funny because it's true," he smirked. Zalmai approached the group and presented what was in her hands. A brown satchel much like the one Nihia was carrying. "This is for you, Sandra. It's your team's official messenger bag. Inside it has your team badges, one for each of you to identify yourselves as a team, and a world map." Sorry, I'm taking a drink. Because my mouth is like the driest thing. Empira gasped. "Wow, actual team badges. I bet they're super shiny." Sandra went to reach for the bag, but his hand was swatted away by Laura's. "I do not trust you with this," she said, taking the bag and putting it over her shoulder. "I think I can keep track of our things." Zalmai was surprised and slightly annoyed at the girl's rudeness. "You could have asked for it." "No, I don't work that way," Laura smirked, sticking her tongue out a little at Zalmai. "I suppose this is fine," Nehia said. "So as long as you're okay with this, Sandra. Team leaders don't always have to carry their bag." Sandra genuinely pondered about it for a moment. Genuinely pondered the thought for a minute. "I think the stress of having to find something specific within a time limit would make me pass out, so maybe having Laura handle it would be best. Besides, Lamperi has her shield she has to carry around, so her carrying the bag would be inconvenient." I mean, Arioris chimed in, saying the first example that he could think of that fit that scenario. Why is that not spelled right? Scenario. Oh, I'm a dumbass. "Would you trust the crazy science chick or the ditz from Team Act Normal to carry their things? No, you'd pick the level-headed one." "I don't think I could handle the responsibility," Felicia said. "I'm way too clumsy. And sorting through bags gives me a migraine, so that's a slam against myself." "So that was also a slam against myself, by the way," Arioris said. "Sure it was," Laura said. Arioris shot her a glare back, but said nothing. Sandra finally chimed in. "I think it would be alright. I trust Laura not to lose anything." "Yep, I think she's super responsible and can definitely handle it," Lamperi enthusiastically agreed. Zalmai nodded. "Then that's settled." She turned to Nehia. "Is it alright if I get back to work? I have a lot to sort through and—" Nehia shook his head and smiled gently at her. "Please, don't worry. We can handle this from here. You do what you need to do. We'll speak more later." A faint blush appeared on Zalmai's face again, and she couldn't meet Nehia's eye anymore. "Of course, thank you. You all take care." She then flew away. "Is she ever gonna tell him?" Arioris whispered to Felicia. "I still don't really see it," Felicia answered. "You're as oblivious as Nehi, huh?" Felicia pouted. "Maybe a little." Arioris shook his head and walked on ahead. "Come on, everyone, let's get moving. Let's get moving." The rest of his team and Team Searchlights followed after him. As the teams walked through Mesa Town, Nehia and Sandra were at the front while their teammates followed behind. Nehia tried giving Sandra a bunch of pointers on how to be a better leader, but most of it was going entirely over Sandra's head, mostly due to nerves. Laura was mostly quiet as Lamperi was chit-chatting with Arioris and Felicia about a number of things. "Oh, maybe this would be something that would interest you guys, but down the road there is the Minchao Dojo," Arioris said, gesturing to a large building vaguely south of where they were. "They say the dojo master guy there, Teresco, is a bit of a hard-ass, and he's some kind of techno-genius, but he's a great teacher." Lamperi, amazed, said, "We should definitely visit there. I think we should tell Sandra about it." Laura, tuning into the conversation, just looked confused. What, the overgrown weasel guy? Is that who we're talking about? They'll let him hear you say that. Well, I beam you into next week, Ariora said. I'd like to see him try, Laura replied. Annoyed, Ariora whispered to Felicia, I'm really bad with kids. No, I just think she's a little... Felicia began, trying to think of the most polite way to say what she was thinking. Brat, he answered. No, she's just young, I think. Give her some time to get the hang of things. Maybe she's just nervous. I guess, Arioris answered, dropping the subject. After a while of heading south, the teams came to a point where a cave entrance appeared and led downwards into the ground, going at a mildly steep slope. Now in front of us here is echoed caverns. As we mentioned before, this place is a mystery dungeon. I did not specify that this is Nahia talking. Yo, if I could fucking spell. Okay, yeah, I never specified that was Nahia talking. It was obvious he's talking, but, like, still. As we mentioned before, this place is a mystery dungeon, so it's of utmost importance that you stick by us. Things should go smoothly, but remember to stay on guard. Sandra stuffed his hands in his hoodie pocket to try to both hide their shaking and hopefully stop it. Lampiria's eyes sparkled with excitement. Even Laura looked excited, though was trying her best to hide it. Team Coconut entered first, followed by Team Searchlights. Laura led the way with Lampiria and Sandra close behind. It was surprisingly dark in the cave. They could only see about a foot ahead of them at the time. Jeez, even for supposedly having eyes that see well in the dark, I keep making a damn thing in here. I don't remember it being this pitch black, Ariora said, squinting a bit and trying to look out ahead of them to scan for any troubles. Not much of a cat now, are you? Laura replied. Ariora only glared in her general direction, as of course he was unaware of where she actually was. Har har, very funny, he snarked. Felicia frowned, getting a little worried. Yeah, it is really dark. It's part and parcel why civilians don't come in here, Nahia added. Again, it being a mystery dungeon doesn't help, but the lack of light is another big factor. He's probably commented it's weird too, though. Ooh! Lampiria happily chimed, raising her hand and flicking it about in the air. Nahia looked over to her. Yes, Lampiria? I can help. What? Unless you have some sort of fire move. And that should be capitalized. Because types, and it's a proper noun. I think Kevin is done with his shower. I don't think he's going to come in, though. Okay. Arioris asked, which led him to think, which leads me to wonder why Sandra over there hasn't added anything to the conversation yet. How can you... Arioris was cut off by Lampiria making herself glow. She lit up the area around them in a pale blue light. Wow! He exclaimed. Felicia gasped. That's so cool! That will be very helpful. And he smiled a little, nodding at Lampiria. Sandra breathed a sigh of relief. That really helps, in more ways than one. He smiled. The light is really calming for some reason. How can you do that? Felicia asked in an intrigued way that sounded akin to a child. Arioris couldn't help but find it kind of adorable. Well, I don't know, Lampiria giggled. I've had this for as long as I can remember. Ooh, I see, Felicia replied, still completely enthralled. Too bad none of us can do anything like that, Arioris added. Laura shrugged. Electricity isn't too much of a light source. She lifted up her fist and ready to thunder punch. It doesn't help that dark purple isn't a very bright color. She lowered her fist again. Dark purple electricity, huh? Arioris asked. What's it to you, kitty face? She answered. Kitty face? He began, clearly annoyed, though cut himself off. Wait, he said, closing his eyes and trying to listen for something. Felicia waited a moment, then whispered, Do you hear something? I think we've got company, he said. Company? Sandra thought out loud, but before he could get any context, a sharp scream from Lampiria, along with her getting knocked forward, was enough to alarm the group. Lampiria! Sandra cried, and as he and the rest of the Pokemon in the room saw the assailant in the light shining from the Squirtle herself, hooded figures were attacking the group. They had small visible bat wings on their backs, but a little other distinguishing features. Zubat! Ariora said, throwing one away from Lampiria with Psychic. Why's it always gotta be Zubat? A single Zubat was accompanied by a horde swarming further down the cave towards the group fast. Having little time to prepare, Sandra quickly rushed to Lampiria's side, helping her up to the best of his abilities. Are you alright? He quickly asked, scared to death. Yeah, that just took me by surprise, she grinned sheepishly. What the heck is going on? Why are people attacking us? Laura cried. The 6 Pokemon, including herself, were already being surrounded by the foes. She threw her Thick Club at one, which knocked it to the ground. She caught it as it flew back to her, completing her bone murraying attack. Not people, phantasms, Arioris corrected as he psychicked away more Zubat. We figured it'd be better if we had a live demonstration first. It wasn't my idea, Nahia said, his claw weapons already equipped on his hands, and as he was slashing away with Crutch Claw and Zubat attacking them. One by one they dissipated as he struck them. I definitely didn't get it until I saw it in person, Felicia explained. We'll explain more later. Just get your asses in gear, Ariora said. Okay, Kevin's starting to make dinner, so this is probably going to be my last one. Okay, so what do we do? Lamperia replied. She rammed into a Zubat or two with her side, trying to use tackle in an attempt in vain to defend herself. 2 hits struck them down. I have no idea. Sandra covered his head with his arms, shaking. He too was being ganged up on, but had no idea of how to retaliate. Just do your best. We're right here for you, Felicia said as she nonchalantly and unflinchingly made a clawing motion at a Zubat or two, which caused a large, dark, dramatic-looking slash to appear where her hand had been that took out the foe, right before they were about to attack her, sucker punching them. I'd recommend a tackle or something, personally, Arioris added, light blue energy appearing around his palms and shooting out towards his team and Team Searchlights, hitting each member, giving them a helping hand. Hey, kitty face, what the heck did you just hit me with? Laura asked Arioris, effectively cutting him off as she whacked a bat on the head with her thick club. What? Oh, I see. No, I was copy-pasting lines, like, from the old and new version. So that's where that came from. Okay, no. Disregard that. Helping hand, he replied, pushing 2 enemies away telekinetically. What, you don't enjoy free stat boosts? He joked, trying to hide his irritated demeanor. She frowned. How about you give us a hand by helping us deal with these stupid Zubat? What do you want me to do then? Ariora shrugged. Being on the front lines isn't my thing. I'd rather just be in the back giving you all more of a chance to kick ass rather than us being the one with our asses kicked. Fine, she sighed, using Boomerang again. Sandra, how are you and Lamperia doing? Nahia asked, looking over at the two. Arioris... Oh, hold on. We should probably swap these lines around. This has definitely been proofread. Lamperia was doing much better than before, tackling incoming Zubat and shooting a small string of bubbles at each one out of her reach. Sandra, at the other hand, was attempting to mimic Lamperia's tackle attack, but failing, with about 4 bats around him, all attacking him. Sandra? Nahia asked as he watched the poor Cyndaquil struggling. Huh? What about him? Lamperia asked and looked over. Oh! She rushed to his side and used Bubble to get assailants off his back. Are you okay? Looking up at her, he sharply exhaled, feeling relieved. Yeah, I think so. She smiled. Good, she said. She turned back around again and began doing her part once more to try to clear the area. Sonia, on the other hand, stayed completely still. I still have no idea what I'm doing. What's the problem, kid? What's the problem, though, kid? Arioris questioned, taking Sandra by surprise. Huh? He looked over at him. Get your head out of the clouds and tell me what's wrong. I won't bite, Arioris grinned. Well, I forgot to put that as a thought. I really need to stop copy-pasting in old lines, because, like, they're not clashing very well, and you can tell where they are, because they're not as well written. You see, there's a lot wrong. I don't know how to fight. You do have moves, don't you? He raised his eyebrow. I wouldn't remember. Shit, right. The amnesia thing. You know, memory lapses are a thing I can empathize with, but I can't imagine forgetting everything. That must be something. He can empathize with it. That means he's gone through it, right? I wonder why he's lost his memories, too. Sandra thought. Anyway, basically what you have to do is focus your energy and ram into an enemy. It's as simple as that. You make it sound easy, but it really isn't. Alright, Sandra nodded. He concentrated for a moment, then rushed forward. He hit something, and when he looked, he noticed that he knocked a Zubat onto the ground. Not only that, but he couldn't help but notice a crowd of bats around them beginning to thin out. Laura was still busy either bone clubbing or boomeranging them, along with Lamperia bubbling them, Felicia sucker punching them, and Nahia crush clawing them. Sandra paused for a moment to catch his breath. We're all so good at this. Hopefully I can be like that too, he thought. There you go, Ariora smiled. You've just learned, or I guess in your case, remember tackle. Congrats, kid. Sandra began, though he was cut off by 2 excited exclamations of, You what? I'm so happy for you, Sandra, Lamperia exclaimed. Thanks, Lamperia. Sandra felt his cheeks grow warm. See, I knew you'd do great with the rookies, Felicia happily said, Arioris giving Arioris 2 enthusiastic thumbs up, casually whacking a foe or 2 away from her with her tail while she did. Heh, you give me too much credit. That was Ariora's, but that's pretty obvious. Nahia used Crush Claw on one final enemy, then surveyed the area. That's all of them. Is everyone alright? Mm-hmm. Lampira happily exclaimed. Me and Sandra are A-okay. Forgetting about Laura, but she's fine. Sandra smiled a bit. I wish I had half the enthusiasm she did, but I think it's rubbing off on me. Right now, well, because we're not being swarmed by a ton of stupid bats, Laura answered. Is anyone explaining what the heck that was? Phantasms. They're enemies we just fought. They spawn from the dark energy that comes from mystery dungeons. It's the reason they're so easy to get lost in, Nahia said. That's not terrifying, Laura said sarcastically. They're not really that threatening. They're just mirages, really. They don't actually exist. They're scary things made up by the miasma, or dark air that makes a mystery dungeon. Phantasms can take the form of mostly anything, but they tend to be more or less the same looking. They're vague, people-like looking things that tend to take on the tend to look like specific species of Pokemon. Those are a bunch of Zubat and Noibat. Oh, good eye. I didn't even notice the Noibat, Felicia said. It's because you were too busy kicking ass, Ariora said. Felicia smiled and blushed a little, though didn't reply. Wait, so are they dangerous? Sandra said. They absolutely can be, but the phantasms in here aren't actually that powerful, which is why they dissipated so easily, Nahia said. So we were never really in any sort of danger. A stiff breeze could take those guys out, Arioris added. My first real battle, Lampira said mostly to herself, so excited she could hardly breathe. That was scary, but I learned so much. I think I finally mastered my tackle and bubble attack. I learned so much more there than I ever did with just practicing. I guess that's why they say you should always just jump in whenever the water's cold. You get used to things quicker that way, Arioris said. Sandra thought about what Arioris said. It seemed to make sense to him. After all, before just then, he had no idea how to do anything combat-wise. Then again, he wasn't sure if high-stress situations were the best way for learning for him. Then he surveyed the group. Is everyone alright? If anyone needs any healing, I have berries. Laura shook her head. No, I think I'm fine. I'm okay. I was just more surprised than anything. I don't think I got hurt, Lampira said. Sandra shook his head also. I'm also okay. Let's just get a move on. Nahia nodded. Alright, if any of you are feeling tired, however, please let me know. What about me? Arioris asked, leaning against the cave wall and putting a hand to his head. Let's not try to run any more of those, huh? He asked, smiling softly and looking up at his teammates while squinting a bit, as if he couldn't see them properly. Was he in pain that whole time? Sandra thought. If so, I couldn't tell. I wish I could have. Not that I could have done anything, but... Oh, is your headache back again? Felicia went to Arioris' side and softly pet his hair. Yep, sure is. Felicia frowned, then opened her arms out to him. Here, take a rest. Arioris shook his head. No, I think I'll be okay. Laura looked away for a moment, seeming conflicted. You okay? Hey, don't start worrying about me now. I'm all good, Arioris said, forcing a smile to try to reassure her. Laura and Lampira both seemed to buy it. Sandra and Arioris' other teammates did not. Hey, Arioris? Lampira asked, trying to change the subject. How did you hear those Zubat before we did? Your ears are down. Oh, Felicia chimed in, speaking before her brain had time to catch up, seemingly. Well, you see, she stammered, trying to find the words she wanted to say. No, I got this. Waving his hand at her casually, Felicia nodded and let him speak. You see, he began, turning towards the kids and removing himself from the wall he was leaning on. Asper and Meowstic have very sensitive ears, so we keep them closed, because the world would be too damn loud otherwise. If I were to lift up my ears, the universe wouldn't turn on its volume just for me, you know? Nahia listened closely to his explanation, as did Felicia. She let his explanation muddle around in her head for a minute visibly, then very obviously getting it after a moment. But Nahia knew the method to his Meowstic teammates' madness by now, so he remained quiet. I guess Felicia was gonna say that, but, she didn't want to say it for him, because that is true. He does actually have very good hearing, but that's not the reason that he keeps his ears closed, obviously. I'm not quite sure what I was going for there. That might get edited, but yeah, who cares? Oh, Lampira said. I get it. Sandra thought back to earlier. I guess that makes sense. He even has good hearing with his ears down. I mean, he heard Zubat coming even when nobody else did. That's definitely proof that if he had his ears up, everything would just be too loud. I don't buy it, Laura asked. What's your proof? Arioris replied cheekily. She was taken aback. Well, frowning, her only retort was, You're just full of it. He shrugged. Yeah, I might be, he smirked. But how about we all follow the line leader again and get the hell out of here? Definitely, I'm already sick of this place, Laura replied. Sure thing, Lampere said, going up next to Nahia. I'll light the way. Be careful, Lampere, Sandra thought. I'm ready whenever you all are. Felicia nodded. Ari and I will be right behind you. I will. Let's get going. Nahia turned forward and started walking at a pace everyone could keep up with. Lampere happily strolled alongside him, and Sandra quickly scuttled ahead so he could be next to her. Laura casually followed along behind, while Felicia and Ariora stayed close behind Nahia, the two teams going further into the darkness of the passage. And Sandra, Lampere, Laura, and then Nahia, Arioris, and Felicia. And Zaumai was at the start of this.